Yo, what's up, guys? Welcome back to another stream. Intelligence Maxing Day 63. I finished my exams. Not all of them, but most of them. So I'm gonna use some time just to take a break from all that stuff from studying. I might pick it back up later today to go over some exam stuff for my finance class, but I think that should be okay compared to the previous exams that I had. But in this stream, I kind of want to read. I went to the bookstore yesterday, DC Kramer's, with my girlfriend, and I found an interesting book that I want to crack open today. I was reading a few chapters earlier, but I didn't really take notes and note down anything that I read, so probably missed some things. But Poverty by America. It's by this guy named Matthew Desmond. Seems like he's a professor at Princeton teaching sociology. And it seems like the whole synopsis of this book is a look into how poverty affects the lives of really millions of Americans. First of all, I think it goes into what it feels like, or it tries to describe what it feels like, what causes poverty. And then the second chapter, which I just finished or am currently reading, is yo Teddy. So the second chapter talks a little bit about why poverty hasn't really improved in the past 20 or so years. There's been a lot of really great scientific advances, like the internet, mapping of the genome sequence, but it seems like the poverty rate in America is kind of like a sine function, a periodic sinusoid function. I think that's what you call it, but it just has these peaks and troughs. And it's stayed relatively within the same bounds within the past 30 years, honestly. And maybe there's a few reasons for that. So I think, I'm trying to remember. It seems like there's some social welfare stuff that he talks about. So first thing, there's the SNAP program. I think Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program. So SNAP. Oops. So I'm just gonna write these random things down and then I'll clean up the notes later. So this is the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program. Wait, Teddy, what are you gonna eat for lunch?
I was gonna make chicken.
You're gonna make chicken? Okay.
You want some?
Wait, what time are you gonna make lunch?
1:32.
I don't think I can wait that long, but I can help.
If you want, just a little bit.
Yeah.
No.
You flex for the stream
Oh yeah, you're streaming?
to 0 people.
You're done, right?
No, I still have one more exam tomorrow
When?
at 12:30, and then I'm done.
Yeah, at 8 a.m. I have at 8 a.m. tomorrow.
Okay, should we celebrate after?
Saturday?
Saturday? Yeah.
I might go home for Friday. Do you run tonight or? Oh.
Yeah.
No, I'm gonna have to go to sleep early tonight, so maybe not.
Oh, we can run before you sleep, and then hopefully that'll make you sleep.
Maybe. I'm
Yeah.
down, probably.
But celebrate on Saturday? That's pretty good. That's pretty
MGM?
good. Yeah, MGM. I'm down. I'll
I'll
go to the bank tomorrow.
Come on, don't actually restructure your funds. Oh, I saw Fat. He sent a screenshot on Instagram from Northwest. I forgot her name, but this one girl was like saying like support my senior bar crawl with like her Venmo.
Wait.
Like, on Instagram. So
she goes to Northwest? How did she?
No, she went. She was in our grade. She posted on her story like support my senior bar crawl with her Venmo. And
Wait.
was just
Wait, who?
I don't remember her name. I can look at the screenshot.
Okay.
And we were like, there's no way, bro. There's no way you're just announcing to the world that you need to get trashed but have no funds to do so. Like, that is the most shameless shit I've ever seen. To support My senior bar crawl.
So do you support it or no?
No, I gave 30 cents and get your money up. What?
Oh my god.
But dude, it's that was like the craze. That's what I'm saying. You gotta put on your story like support my senior
What?
casino crawl.
Casino crawl? Okay, I'll try it.
I need the funds for it.
Uh-huh. Okay, so there's the SNAP program, the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program. There's Medicaid, which is health coverage for impoverished families slash families slash citizens. And this is administered by the state, I believe. So each state has their own Medicaid. I want to say it's their own office. I could be wrong, but I don't think this is administered at the federal level. I think states have to pay for all this using their own budget. But then again, I wonder if some funding does come from the federal government. I think maybe states can grant requests. So let's see, does federal government help with funding? So there's also the supplemental SSI. I forgot what it stands for, or SII. I'm not entirely sure. And then disability. I think disability is a big one too. And possibly welfare, but that could fall into the same bucket as SSI. So I'm gonna call these. So these are all government. So government social support systems slash programs put in place in order to help American citizens, live a life of dignity and just survive, honestly. Because I feel like the SNAP program is probably one of the most important programs today. So these are food stamps. So I think this is vouchers slash stipend for basic food and water. That's kind of like the most basic thing you need to live. All right. Oh, okay, so there's TANF. So TANF is temporary assistance for needy families. Okay. So TANF, temporary assistance for needy families. So this was seems like so this replaced the Aid to Families with Dependent Children program. Families with studying.
Is this like an actually hard exam or no?
No, I think all my actual hard exams were yesterday. I got cooked. I got cooked on both of them.
Machine learning?
Yeah, machine learning, and then also my finance one. That shit was so hard.
Well, do you think like really bad or just like?
No, it was really bad.
Oh.
Like I didn't even get to finish the exam.
I hope it doesn't hurt you too much.
We'll see. I heard the curve is gonna be crazy.
That's good.
Planet Turf.
For machine learning or?
for machine learning. I hope the finance one too.
Mm-hmm. Okay, good luck. I mean, hopefully it's not that bad. I thought my set theory was looking bad to start, but I kind of rescued it in the second half.
Alright, nice.
I got a 90 on it. We got it today,
good
so I
shit.
hope it was, dude. First half, I was barely making any progress. I was like, well, I am still gonna pass, but the A is out of the question. Second hour, things just started clicking.
Uh-huh.
Things just started like clicking on it.
You clutched the A, right?
Yeah. Well, I had a 95 and I got a 90, so yeah.
Okay.
I mean, because in the end, so like there was 7 problems after like the first hour. I had maybe done like half of the first problem was like true or false with like a little bit of justification. I had done like half of them.
Mm-hmm.
I had done all of number 2 because number 2 was easy, and I had been fucking up on number 7. But number 7 was easy. I'd just been doing dumb shit. Like literally, it was basically a formula for what we need to do to prove it. Like we've done it in class, and it's literally like the exact same argument, but just with a couple things different. And I was just fucking it up for no reason, and in the end I got it, but I wasted like an extra 15 minutes because I was trying to look for the wrong set in the wrong power set or whatever, because it's just dumb as hell.
Yeah,
But then I was like, oh dude, all these other ones have more points, and I am like completely lost. Number 3, I locked in. It wasn't that bad. I locked in on that, and every now and then I'd go back to number 1 for a couple more of those true false. I'd be like, okay, no, I do know that one, and I'd, you know, I'd get that there. And then eventually I was just down to like 4, 5, 6, and a couple number 1s. 5 was, what was number 5? Oh, 4 was actually, I'd had half of that because I basically had to find a one-to-one map one way and then the other way. I did it the first way because the first way is basically just the identity. It's really easy. I was just trying to think for the other way, and I kind of got something. I didn't explain it, but I know it was correct. I might have explained it in a more casual way, but I'm like, whatever. I did get it right. Then we got number 5. You know. Oh, actually, I'm pretty sure I got number 5 wrong. But then I was like, okay, this kind of makes sense for number 5, so I'm gonna get partial for this because like I'm actually making some argument. We basically had to find like how many, like the cardinality of all limit ordinals that have like cardinality of n7 or whatever, and I was like, okay, well I know that they can't be below n7 because if it's a smaller number than n7 it can't have a cardinality of that, and it can't be bigger than n8 because then it would at least be n8 big, so it's got to be in the middle. And I was like, okay, so how many, so I knew that it had to be in the middle. I was like, how many are there in the middle? Well, I'm almost certain the answer is going to be n7, so I'm going to provide some bullshit justification for why it is, and I just wrote that down. We then finished number 1. I was like, okay, in the end, because some ones for number 1, I was like, dude, these are all like 10 points for like 5 true or false. So number 1 was like a quarter of the test. I'm like, I'm fucking setting these up. Damn. But in the end, we worked. I was like, okay, this one's not so bad. Found a counter.
Wait, this is yesterday or?
No, it was
Tuesday?
Monday.
I
was like, okay, found a counter example for this, found the this for this, found the kind of easy justification for that. I was like, okay, we're down to number 1. I'm down to 1 problem left. It's not the most important one. And everyone was struggling on it. And I had like 20 minutes left. I was like, you know what? I'm just going to try and get as much credit as I can on it. I'll start with how I think it should start. Yeah. We've had nothing on cofinality on this final so far, so this has to do with cofinality. I'll just start it, and eventually I'll just make my argument. I started it, and I was like, okay, well, I can make this next step then. I can do this. And then eventually I was like, I like paused for like 5 minutes. I was like, okay, from here, does this just straight work? Like I was like connecting. I'm like, okay. But then it would have to be cofinal in the set back on the bijection. And if it is, that means that there's a finite set that's cofinal in W1, which is a contradiction. I'm like, yeah, that seems to work. So I just wrote it down, and then I talked with some friends after. They're like, oh yeah, I think you got it. And I'm like, wow. That was literally the hardest problem I've had in the class. And I actually was able to clutch it up on with like 20 minutes left. The hardest problem I've had in that class, it was like, I told you what omega is, right? It's like just the first infinite ordinal. Basically, you have all the finite numbers, and then you have omega.
Okay.
Omega 1 is just known as the next infinite cardinal bigger than omega. So like omega plus 1, its cardinality is omega. I think I told you because you just mapped the one thing below. And you keep going for a while, and then eventually you can just say, okay, there's another infinite ordinal, omega 1. And it basically said, prove that there's no like order-preserving function from omega 1 to the real numbers, which is like kind of hard because the real numbers have a cardinality that's bigger than or equal to omega 1 because the real numbers have a cardinality strictly bigger than omega. That was proven. Like, it's pretty easy to prove that. Okay. But omega 1 is the next infinite cardinal, so that means the real numbers have to be bigger than or equal to it because if it was less, then it would be in between, which we just said it can't be. So I was like, well, it's gonna be weird if there's more things in the real numbers than omega 1, then it should be like pretty easy to just find a map.
It's
But
so
in the end, there's
easy.
not.
It's so
Because the cofinality
easy.
of the real numbers is omega, but for omega 1, it's omega 1. So because of that, if you can find an order preserving map, I'm trying to. A cofinality is basically if I give you a set of a certain cardinality, if I give you anything in the real numbers, I can find a number in this set that's bigger. So if I take the set of integers, that's cofinal in the real numbers, because for any real number, I can find an integer bigger than it, right?
Okay.
Yeah. So basically, okay, if the cofinality of W1 is W1, and the cofinality of the real numbers is less than that, if there was an order preserving map, that means that for any f of x, there should be some integer bigger than that. Which means the inverse of f of x and the inverse of that integer, because it's order preserving, the inverse of that integer has to be bigger than the inverse of x. Basically, because it's order preserving. So if f of x is bigger than f of that integer, then it also needs to be in here bigger. So basically, I found something in the inverse of my set that's bigger than everything in W1, which means the inverse of the integers in this function is cofinal in W1.
Yeah,
But
you
the
already lost
integers,
me. You already lost
but the
me.
integers
Yeah.
have a
But keep going.
the integers have a the integers have a cardinality of just omega. There's omega many integers, but I've shown that in the inverse map of the integers, there's something bigger than, or from the integers, I can find something in the inverse map of the integers bigger than everything in W1, which means that it's cofinal, but it's a cardinality of W0. Meanwhile, it's known that the cofinality of W1 is W1. So therefore, this order-preserving map cannot exist.
That's good. That's good.
That was the most.
You deserve this A in this class.
Well, for that problem, I explained that after they're like, dude, nice. I'm like, wow, that is crazy that I actually.
Yeah, that is fire. That is fire. You heard that, chat? That is crazy. There is no chat. Rip. Replace the aid to families with dependent children program. Was enacted by Bill Clinton in 1996. Temporary. So I guess this is focusing on, okay. Focuses on people with children. Right, I feel like that's probably a big thing to really keep track of and be able to support is kind of the next generation and hopefully having kids and children. I mean, I'm still pretty much a child. To be able to live a pretty good life, have a good upbringing so that they don't get traumatized and have to really go through a lot of suffering in order just to live. So it seems like what's been going on here is the temporary, so Matt makes some points that TANF has been squandered to some by some extent. for non-subsistence use. So I think Mississippi was an example. Yeah, Mississippi was. Mississippi. MISSIPPI went through some scandal 2020 where funds from the temporary assistance for needy families used buying cars, singers, and NFL players. So I think an example could be, let's see, so Mississippi, yeah, it's just kind of crazy. Alright, outside CPA firm in Maryland. So Brett Favre, heard of David Ministries. Wow. Yeah, so this is, I guess, the outcome of the Mississippi audit in 2021. That's actually kind of unfortunate. Okay, so there has been some misuse, it seems like, within government, state governments, for the so TAMF funds don't go directly to families, but sometimes are spent on social programs. So things like finance, development, juvenile detention facilities, stuff like that. Okay. In 2020, states had in their possession almost $6 billion in unspent welfare funds. Okay, so there's another interesting thing here that he actually talks about. So SSI is supplemental security income, I think. And there's also SSDI, supplemental social security disability. Okay. Supplemental security income. And disability, so there's social security disability insurance. So it's SSDI. Okay, so it seems like also there seems, so Matt picks a complex structure with complex process when applying for disability income and the involvement of, I think, disability lawyers who get paid a fee portion of the monthly income for their services. So there seems to be a problem where the SSDI money doesn't go directly to the person filing, but a portion of that goes towards lawyers. So it seems like that is the big thing here. Okay, so I might have mixed this up with SSI and supplemental security. Slash SSDI. I'm gonna say that for now. I'll come back and change it. So yeah, I'll add a comma here. Might be wrong. Double check SSI versus SDI. Okay. Okay, so now it's talking about American. Now it's talking about the other forces in play here. So I'm gonna pull out my bookcase, do some underlining, highlighting for anything interesting. Okay, so there's three theoretical ways that Matt thinks country's poverty rate could increase. So they arrive poor and stay that way, forming a new underclass. They make the native-born population poorer by depressing wages. I guess that means they accept wages. They accept to work at a lower wage, or they overburden the safety net, diluting anti-poverty investments. Okay. Interesting. 3-part 3 framework. Okay. So our foreign population has soared. So this is what Matt does to try to refute the argument or disprove the argument that immigration is causing poverty to decline. And it seems like he's kind of identified the three hubs in which immigration has really taken off. So Texas, Florida, California. But when you compare the poverty rates for those states, they've actually declined in Texas and Florida by a few percentage points. 4%. But it seems like California's rate did increase, but marginally, 0.7% in the past 30 years. 40 years actually, from 50 from 1970 to 2019. Okay, but there is this point where does their success come at the expense of other workers? So, wow, over a typical lifetime, an immigrant will give more to the U.S. government in taxes than he or she will receive in federal welfare benefits. True. This is kind of like the case against. So now it's talking about family. So first thing was, okay, is immigration causing this poverty? Second is family causing poverty? So instead, we've increasingly privatized daycare and summer programming, effectively reserving these modern day necessities for the affluent. Doing so would made it impossible for many single parents to go back to school or work full time. So he has a good point here. Choosing to have a child outside of marriage may be an individual choice, but condemning many of his parents and their children to a life of poverty is a societal one. Should they really be punished for just having a child? And should that child be punished for her mother's actions? I don't know. It's an interesting dilemma. Yeah. So this talks about marriage and how marriage is kind of safe for the affluent because it really comes after someone or a couple believes that they're kind of financially stable, and that's really reserved in the olden days for the bourgeoisie. The bourgeoisie. I'm not too sure how I'm pronouncing that. So New Hope is one of the several programs that have boosted marriage rates, not by offering relationship counseling or organizing workshops, initiatives that almost never work, but by providing couples with enough economic stability to try for a life together. That's interesting. I want to highlight that. So he says that in the history of the nation, there has only been one other state-sponsored initiative more anti-family than mass incarceration, and that was slavery. So yeah, this seems like it's a pretty big deal. This entire, I guess I might have skipped a few points here, but now Matt's talking a little bit about how a lot of Americans are incarcerated, and unlike countries in Europe that seem to have maybe a bit more progressive look on the prison system, Americans can't visit their family, but people in other countries can. So maybe this has an effect on how families form in the United States. So he also learned the step in the sequence is responsible for nearly all assists that marriage was carrying a full-time job. Wow. Okay, so this is, I think, when the author might take different direction. So he introduced two ideas of causes of poverty, and really not two causes that cause poverty and can hinder the improvement of poverty in the US. First one was immigrants, second is family. I think his conclusion is these two are not really the big factors that are hindering America from reducing its poverty rate. And I think what he's getting at is there are people in this world, people, including institutions, that have somehow systematically enforced poverty on America. And I guess we'll see what that looks like in chapter 3, chapter 4. I think what I am going to do now, though, is probably eat some food. I'm kind of hungry. Yeah, I'm kind of hungry, so I need to go eat some food and then probably come back and actually start studying for my exam. So, yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one, but thanks for tuning in. This is fun. I really actually enjoy this, so yeah, I think I'm probably gonna try to finish this book by the end of next week. We'll see what happens. But thanks for tuning in, and see you guys in the next one. Peace.